Why not?
You can hear. There. Hear you speak. There now. Now they can hear you. All right.
So when are they going to call?
So you want to stay on mute. So click on mute again.
Good morning. This is Member Brown. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Liz, I do not see our new member yet. Can you resend the link, maybe?
I already did that, thanks. Just got an email, she's trying to log in now.
Okay, well, we can get started with the other stuff while she's working on that. So go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this October 24th, 2022. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, in 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have had the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute to announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Has our new member joined yet?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Welcome, Priscilla. Welcome to your first BZA meeting. Mary, we need to swear Priscilla in, please.
Okay, repeat after me. I, Priscilla Roca,
I, Priscilla Roca,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio
and the Charter of the City of Cleveland,
and the Charter of the City of Cleveland,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals
discharge the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals
of the City of Cleveland during my continuance in said office.
of the City of Cleveland during my continuance in said office.
Great. All right, like I said, welcome. We're very happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome.
All right. Well, excitingly, we have a full complement of board members again. So go ahead and call that roll, Liz.
All right. Ms. Roca,
Present.
Ms. Holzer,
Present.
Ms. Brown,
Present.
Ms. Fake,
Present, and welcome to Ms. Roca.
and Ms. Britt.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a full complement of 5 members. All right, so Madam Chair, before you, you have calendar number 22-182 regarding 1116 Auburn Avenue, the Ohio Project LLC, proposed to change use of existing rear single-family dwelling to a 2-family dwelling. The applicant requests more time. This was in fact postponed officially last Monday, and we did send out public notice, but just in case someone didn't get the letter and is here today, this case will not be heard this morning. And again, that's calendar number 22-182 regarding 1116 Auburn Avenue. That's all that we have, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. So anyone that's here for that hearing, you can log off unless you just want to hang out with us today. All right. What's our first case? Do we have any council people here?
I was just scanning for that as you asked. I do not see any council people today.
All right, great. We can go with our first case then, Ms. Holster.
All right, so first we have a public works invoice appeal. So calendar number 22-173. This is at 12915 Cadle. Anima Kananthanam appeals under the authority of Section 76-6B of the Charter of the City of Cleveland and Section 329.02D of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances from the from the decision of the hearing officer dated August 10th, 2022 to uphold the City of Cleveland's Department of Public Works to issue the invoice number listed in the agenda in the public record. Regarding abating nuisances, parenthetically grass cutting at the subject property. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Natasha Brewster, 500 Lakeside Avenue.
I do. Ariel Kolk, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
And the appellant, please swear in.
And your right hand and state your name.
Anima Kananthanam. 12915 Cadle Avenue.
Thank you. Anyone else here? Okay, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Guess we'll go, we don't need history. We'll go right to the legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is appealing an administrative decision. The standard of review to be applied is whether the administrative decision was illegal, arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, or unsupported by the preponderance of substantial, reliable, and probative evidence. If the appellant fails to meet this burden, the administrative decision must be affirmed.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Kanamata, I think I pronounced that right. Tell us what's going on here.
Just read, dear madam and sirs, my former neighbor wanted to own parcel 1919-062 when I was not present on this property. My former neighbor cut the branches of the tree. When I heard somebody is cutting the tree, I went to the property and made her known that I am paying taxes for this property. She said that she wanted my property and that property belongs to her. She was putting the trash on my property. Healthy looking, well-built men were with her. Both men and women argued with me. I was alone and they were threatening me. She told me she owned the house in which she lived at that time. Others told me she rented the house. I told them that I will call the surveyor and let the surveyor make the decision that the property and tree belongs to whom. He stated, you will pay the surveyor. I did not want the argument to escalate, and I picked up her trash from my property, which she had put on. When they heard that I am going to bring the surveyor, they realized the truth. They realized the truth will be revealed. They got angry and stated, I will call the city and tell you are not cutting the grass. I had already cut the grass just 3 days before. My neighbor had taken the revenge on me by calling Park and Recreation because I did not give my property to her. Park and Recreation listened to her gossip and believed. Immediately, city or the Park and Recreation did not come to inspect the property. At least I did not see them. I was not there always. This particular neighbor no longer lives there now. She did not, she did not own the house, as she said. Somebody else lives there now. On Kadal Avenue, I am the only one who has the garden there. I take care of my garden. I gave rose clips to my other neighbors so that neighborhood will look good. This particular neighbor does not live there now. Somebody else is living in that house now. Before I purchased this land, nobody wanted this land. As soon as I bought this, couple of my neighbors wanted this land but would not say anything explicitly, but expressed their jealous by blocking my driveway, and when I was not there, destroy my garden. More than one time, I had to call the police officer to move their friend's car from my driveway. They may have asked their friend to block my driveway so that they can say they did not block my driveway. Their friend told me that she is a police officer, but she is not a police officer. I informed that to the police officer who responded to my call. One neighbor was happy that I bought the property. Later, COVID-19 came. My other neighbor was infected with COVID-19. I could hear non-stop cough. They sat outside spitting and sputtering. More than one person had the COVID-19, one after the other. I did not cut the grass that time. I did not, according to the information given by CDC, people, those who are 65 years old and above, has to take special precaution to prevent from getting COVID-19. At that time, I was 74 years old, now 75. I was afraid that I will get infected with COVID-19 if I had got out and cut the grass when my neighbor was coughing, spitting and sputtering. It was instructed that COVID-19 virus can fly 200 feet when the wind blows. It was too dangerous for me to get out and mow the lawn because of COVID-19. Passengers bypass my neighbors' COVID-19 infested area due to fear of getting infected with the COVID virus. During that time, even inside my house, I wore mask because wind can bring the COVID-19 virus into the inside of the house, and I would have got infected with virus. I did not get out of the house in order to protect myself from COVID-19. I remained in. Nothing is precious than life. If I had got out and mowed the lawn, I would have contracted with COVID-19 from my neighbor and others, let alone suffering. I wanted to tell the people from Park and Recreation that I will cut the grass when the atmosphere is clear of COVID-19, when they were cutting the grass. In order to communicate with them, I had to get out. If I had got out, I would have got out infected with COVID-19 virus. I keep my garden pretty and lawn clean. In reality, I am the only one who has the garden in this neighborhood. In order to look the neighborhood beautiful, I even gave flower plants and others roses to neighbors. Some maintained the roses and others did not. Sometimes I hired people to mow the lawn. Other times I myself mows the lawn frequently and as needed. I am 75 years old. In 2021, I was 74 years old. So I quarantined myself according to the CDC guidelines to prevent COVID-19. 3 or 4 days after my neighbor stopped coughing, I got out and cut the grass. Days after the park and recreation came and cut the grass. If I had gone out and cut the grass when my neighbor was coughing nonstop, most probably I would have infected with COVID-19 and I would have died. Also, because of the close proximity of my neighbor's house, I was more vulnerable to get COVID-19. After it rains third day, I cut my grass. When it does not rain, I cut my grass every 7 to 10 days. Depends on how high the grass is. I keep my property clean. I am depend on the nature, especially the rain. 2 years before, rain destroyed my weed walker. It happened to me while cutting the grass. Water got into the motor and destroyed the weed walker. I had to buy another one, and it is expensive. I lost the job due to COVID-19. I'm an RN. I'm a registered nurse. Please see the picture of the lawn parcel 1919-062 and my garden. I had to quarantine myself to protect me from getting infected with COVID-19 because my vulnerable age, the wild spreading nature of coronavirus COVID-19. I followed the CDC guidelines. If not, I may have died. I hope the authorities will understand my critical and unavoidable circumstances. Then in 2021, humbly I am pleading, please waive the penalty citation. COVID-19 is a dangerous virus, especially for my age group, 65 and age and above. I was 74 now. I am 75 now. I am 74 in 2021 and 75 now. Please find the attached pictures as a proof that I do take care of my lawn. And I have given the pictures to Elizabeth.
Thank you, ma'am. So do you get out here and cut the grass yourself?
Sometimes when I cannot, somebody else cuts, but most of the time I cut the grass.
Okay, no, I'm just saying that's impressive. Okay, Ms. Brewster, can you give me the background on what happened with the hearing? And seems like she has a interesting situation here, so can you clear up some things?
Yes, on June, I received a protest from Ms. Cananahan stating that she couldn't get out to service her property because of COVID, and her neighbors was harassing her, telling her that they owned that property and was throwing branches in her yard and blocking her driveway. But she also explained that she had another person that comes out when she can't come out to service the property, and she was supposed to turn in that information when she never did. She had a hearing on her paper got wet up, I'm sorry. She had a hearing. Let me see this, I'm sorry. Okay, she had a hearing on August 10th at 9:15. She didn't show up until after 10 o'clock. She called after 10 o'clock, and they let her come up around 11. I was in the midst of a hearing with someone else. So after the hearing, I still had her sit out until I got finished to see if she had any support and documentation, and she did not have anything to support that she had another landscaper when she can't get out because of COVID. So I had nothing that I can write off this charge with. So I see
Gotcha.
the new pictures and everything that she provided with you all, but I never received anything of that nature. I received a letter stating that the harassment, and as what she explained to me, the harassment from the neighbors.
All right, thank you. So, if she would have responded to you with, what, essentially what she gave us today, then you probably could have worked with her, correct?
Correct. Because I sat out there with her for over an hour trying to get her if she could mail it back to me. But she was still distraught about her neighbors.
All right, thank you. Yeah, this is a difficult situation here. I understand both sides. So I know normally, we always work with appellants here when they have exigent circumstances. So, Ms. Brewster, is that does that complete your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Polk, did you want to add anything, or are you just here for support?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Board, you have any questions or comments on this?
Madam Chair, in these sorts of situations, particularly given the age of the appellant, we do tend to try to give them some grace on this. I think this is similar to a case we had not long ago, and we, Member Brown and I both voiced concern that this wasn't going to be an ongoing situation. So to our appellant today, we hope that you can make arrangements so that the property is maintained going forward, regardless of your help. I did go on Google Earth and look at the property. There had been a home on it that between 2011 and 2019 was demolished. The site, the site in the center of the property remains rather barren to grass because of the demolition of the property and the remaining gravel that's in the property. So my inclination here, Madam Chair, is to offer the appellant a reduced fee for the mowing. And I'd like to hear
Yeah.
input from other board members.
Thank you. And what's the actual fee now? I don't think I saw that in the invoice.
I don't believe we have that either, Madam Chair. Perhaps Ariel Polk would have it.
Yes, I can respond. The charge on that particular invoice is $344.40.
44.40. Okay. Thank you. Okay, other board members?
Madam Chair, I do support reducing the fee and advising the appellant to have other methods for keeping the lawn within regulations, upkeep within regulations and code.
Okay, lately we've been doing 50%. Does that sound good for people?
I'd support it, ma'am.
I think
That would be what we would agree to.
if I remember the last time we had a case like this too, we had told the appellant that if they were interested, they could go and chat with someone about a payment plan too. If it wasn't, obviously we don't have the authority to tell someone to get into a payment plan, but extending or letting them know that they might have that option.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you for that reminder.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
With that being said, Madam Chair, I'll proceed with a motion on calendar number 22-173. Given testimony by the appellant with the situation with the neighbors. We know that COVID-19 has impacted our lives in a major way. And looking at the state of the property, I would move that we reduce the fee from the fee of $344.40 as we have heard that is the amount due, reduce that by 50%.
All right, thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer, second.
Second from Ms. Holzer. Just to add that amount will come to $172.20 to be exact. Okay, go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Thank you. Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-173 is granted conditionally. The appellant will be responsible for half of the invoice, and that amount is $172.20. We will ratify this next week, and then we will send the appellant a letter. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, good luck, ma'am. Okay, what's our next case?
Our next case is calendar number 22-177. This is at 1402 West 75th Street, City.
Reduced it.
Oh, is that for me? No, okay. All right, I'm going to keep going.
Sorry
City
about that.
Savings and Loans proposes to establish a temporary parking lot on a vacant lot located in a K2 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do. State your name and your address, please. Is there anyone here from City Savings and Loan to testify for this case?
Madam Chair, Maurice Rollins, I believe this applicant wanted to withdraw. I believe I forwarded an email to Ms. Kukla, but I don't know that they ever actually made a formal request to withdraw.
That's
Okay,
correct. That's correct, Madam Chair.
so this is a withdrawal.
It's
Pathetically.
an unofficial withdrawal, or you can dismiss. And of course, you know, if you dismiss the case, it's not punitive in any way. There's no penalties, and they would have the right to appeal again in the future.
Okay, well, we'll hold it till the end of the meeting for the dismissal, just in case for some random reason they show up. So we'll save that till the end. All right, well, we'll just go to the next case, Ms. Holzer.
All right, I'll wait till we scroll down. All right, our next case is calendar number 22-178. This is at 3317 Roanoke Avenue. BR Knez Construction LLC proposes to erect a 2-story frame single-family residence with a detached garage and an A1 one family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland codified ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Ms. Holzer, I think we're going to read both into the record now.
I see it. All right. Do you want me to read number 22-179 as well?
Yes.
All right.
Here, I'll bring it up for you. There you go.
Got it. Adding in calendar number 22-179 at 3205 Roanoke Avenue. And again, BR Knez Construction LLC proposes to erect a 2-story frame single-family residence with detached garage in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland codified ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply I do, state your name and your address.
I do. Hannah Cohan, BR Knez Construction, 7555 Friedel Drive, Concord, Ohio.
Anyone else for this case? Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning for each of these addresses. That's 3317 Roanoke and 3205 Roanoke. I did find for the address of 3317 Roanoke that in 2009, a permit was issued to demolish a structure on the site. And then for 3205 Roanoke Avenue, 2012, a permit was issued to demolish a structure on the site. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the front yard setback and interior side yard regulations of the zoning code for both properties, and additionally for distance between dwellings for the address of 3205 Roanoke. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. And Maurice, always get excited when I see our little signs out there in the picture.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to address the issue that I know you like to have addressed initially, and that is the front yard setback on both of these. This one in particular had been before you before, and as you know, we can't grant those setbacks. So we went ahead and had legislation passed to map the setback of 6 feet along all of that side of Roanoke to incorporate that so that they no longer need the setback variance, which would be, I believe, number 1 in both of those two cases. So number 1 is no longer needed.
That's what I love. That's what I love to hear. Yes.
I figured you would.
Okay, you love
be
to
happy
hear it.
that.
I'd love to know how that compares with the rest of the front yard setbacks for the other houses. I mean, I know it's done. I'm just interested.
Right. Well, as you can see in the aerial here on this side of the street, they're kind of all over the place. Some are really close, some are back. And you know, if you look at the one that's 2 to the left of the yellow box, it's so far back it skews what the average would be for the neighborhood. And although you can't see it on the other side of the street, there's a lot of homes that are very close to the street there. It actually is a very nice street, and having the homes with almost everybody has front porches actually makes a really nice feel to the neighborhood. So this was the right thing to do here, we think, from a planning perspective too, to bring the homes closer to the street, which we always like to do. We think it makes it more walkable and even safer too.
Okay. And can you also show the site plan for 3205?
Sure can. So we only have one issue with the 3205, and that was we didn't like the idea of having the two driveways next to each other. I believe Hannah can talk about that. We had asked that it be flipped potentially, but I'm not sure if that's going to be as convenient for them, but we can discuss that.
All right, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Hannah.
Hi, thank you. So we are looking for a side yard variance for both of these houses. For the second one, 3205, planning has requested that we flip the driveway, as Maurice stated, and if that's the board's preference, we're open to that. The next door house there is built all the way onto the property line, and they have a fence that's coming a couple feet over the line. So we were trying to keep the driveway from being right up against the neighboring house, but if it's preferred to keep it with the rhythm of the street, we're okay with that too.
Thanks. So with the removal of the front yard setback, are we just looking at the side yards now?
Yes, Madam Chair. And, you know, the issue of the driveway is not a zoning issue. We can deal with that in the housing design review when we have to review and approve those. And as far as the side yards, we do feel it's a practical difficulty in that the entire neighborhood was really constructed on what appears to be 3-foot side yards. So now to ask, you know, on these similar size lots for the larger side yard is definitely a difficulty. And so we would recommend approval on the single variance that they need for both.
Great,
and we're happy to see these homes built. They look great.
Yes.
I can't tell. Actually, I don't have glasses on either, but what's the width of the house?
I think it's a 25 foot. Are they both 25 feet, Hannah?
They're both 25.
Thank you.
So they really are completely in scale with everything else in the neighborhood.
All right, great. So we got all the setbacks settled. I'll entertain a motion for it unless anyone else has any other questions.
Madam Chair, I just had a quick question just to confirm with Mr. Rulins. Are you requesting that the driveway be flipped on the, is it 3205?
Madam Chair, it's, through the chair, it's not a zoning issue. It's not something that's being adjudicated, so I don't know that we can really request that from the board.
Just curious.
And,
Okay.
and like I said, we can deal with it in other ways.
Great. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right, Madam Chair, hearing no other discussion on calendar number 22-178 and 22-179, given the legislation that has changed the requirements for the front yard setbacks, we do not have to make any decisions on number 1 in each of those cases. So we're looking at number 2 for both of them, which are side yard setbacks. We've heard testimony about the nature of the neighborhood and that the neighborhood was built with 3-foot side yards originally. And so in keeping with the neighborhood, we are, excuse me. In keeping with the neighborhood, thank you. In keeping with the neighborhood, I motion that we approve the variances for both of these cases.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Madam Chair, I'll second.
Thank you. We have a second for Ms. Roca. Go ahead and call the roll, please. All right.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar numbers 22-178 and 22-179 are granted. They will be ratified next week, and then we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. And thank you to City Planning for getting that front yard setback handled. I love it. That makes it so much easier.
You're welcome.
All right,
These are
next
the-
case, please.
These are the things we get excited about. Woohoo. Okay.
All right, our next case is calendar number 22-180. This is at 3140 West 25th Street. The Northeast Ohio Hispanic Center for Economic Development proposes to convert a 31,500 square foot building and surrounding lots to a mixed-use campus, including grocery store, bar/restaurant, community center, offices/conference area, stage/assembly use, and commercial kitchen, and erect an outdoor accessory storage building and a total of 83 accessory off-street parking spaces, 2 lots to be on separate parcels across Black Court. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address.
Janice Contreras, I do, 3140 West 25th, Cleveland, Ohio.
Good morning. I do. Luis Pupo, 16102 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 200, Shaker Heights, Ohio.
Felipe Valdez at 4300 Chagrin Boulevard, Cleveland, Ohio.
I didn't catch your first name. Can you repeat that?
Felipe Valdez?
Felipe, okay.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2012, it was placed in local retail business. There are no variances on file, and in our records administration office, we found that in 1911, a 2-story tenement was erected on site. But then in 1960, there was a permit that was issued for alterations to a store and a suite. And then in 1962, a private frame garage was demolished on the site. And then in the more recent history, Madam Chair, we just see that there are interior alterations to change things on the first floor and the second basement as well. And that I'm not sure of. I don't think they're relevant. So that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and area variances from the parking and landscaping regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, who will be the spokesperson for this case?
Well,
And who's speaking?
this is Felipe Valdez.
All right, Mr. Valdez,
Hello.
go ahead.
All right, so our site consists of various parcels, some that are currently zoned as general retail, and then there's a couple that are also the ones that we want to build the parking lot are mostly on the single family lots to the southwest of the site area. And as you can see in the red, there are some existing single family homes, which are, some are already demolished and some are slated to be demolished as well. We're about 300 feet from the intersection of Clark and West 25th. And you can see the extent of our existing building, none of which is going to be built on. It's all renovation, like you said before. We can go to the next slide. And then just some existing conditions. You can see the current state of our building. We plan to make use of the Buckeye Court and Black Court as well. The majority of our parking spaces are going to be to the west of the site and to the south. We plan to maintain that southeast lot off of Blatt and West 25th as is to not activate the existing PRO on the site. So we can continue on to the next slide or to the next slide.
So,
in this kind of
question, so part of the building is in the PRO? Or all of it?
Yes. All of the building is on the PRO.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So,
Just wanted to clarify that.
yes. As you can see, the single family parcels to the southwest right there. This is where we would like the variance to kind of continue building some of our parking lots. The proposed uses of our building requires, as many parking as we can get, and we've worked with our civil engineer to, have the most efficient way of using this space to have our parking spaces, and then to maintain maximum parking spaces, we're leaving that southeast lot as is. The southwest lot also, that you can see the parking spaces. See. And a lot of what we're using, and again, we're using that north plaza to kind of give back to the community. So.
And
I
this
don't
is your
know if,
landscape, this is your landscape plan here?
Yes, this is our landscape, and we're using a lot of that landscaping to kind of help buffer surrounding residential parcels that are to the west of our site. A lot of it is different scaled landscaping to kind of give some dynamic background to everything.
Thanks. Just a quick pause here. I noticed in the write-up it was for landscape buffer, but it looks like they have them here. And anyone clarify that?
Well, Madam Chair, I can tell you that the plans that I saw that were submitted to Building and Housing did not have any of this on there. And so that might have been why. Mr. Riccardi could probably comment on that, but that's what I can tell you from what I saw. But they did send this to me.
Madam Chair, I have a follow-up question as well. On the last slide, with respect to the parking, it stated 85 parking spaces proposed, and then in our write-up, we have 83. I just want to clarify which one applies.
Currently, we have the 85. 83 was a previous iteration for that existing parking. Due to the PRO, we are leaving it as existing conditions. So that brings up our parking count up to 85.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yes, no problem.
Madam Chair, something that's been brought to my attention just now is that they have not gotten their conditional use permit yet from city planning, which I was not aware that hadn't happened. I know that they went to the City Planning Commission and received conceptual approval for this project. So I'm not sure if this is being done out of order or not.
I was just about to ask that. Will that be a requirement?
Yeah, Ms. Leonard is online. She is our PRO expert, Pedestrian Retail Overlay District. Sorry.
Morning, Shannon Leonard. Yes, they would need to get their conditional uses from Planning Commission regarding the parking within the first 40 feet of West 25th Street.
So Shannon, should that be done before they come to BZA?
Generally, it is done before they come to BZA, just in case the site plan changes or if Planning Commission adds any conditions to the conditional use permits. Generally, they do that before BZA, just in case, for whatever reason, let's say Planning Commission did not approve the conditional uses, they could then appeal those conditional uses via the Board of Zoning Appeals in addition to whichever variances that they are requesting.
Okay, so so should we pause this, or is it a possibility we can move forward with some with a pause saying that we can't ratify until they get the, I need a little guidance on this one here.
Yep, I think you could do it. You could, pause it. I mean, it's my professional recommendation that they would go to Planning Commission before they, it may reduce the variances needed. I'm not sure exactly the variances that they're requesting today. But it's ultimately up to you guys how you want to do that. You could say, I mean, essentially Building and Housing is not going to issue the permit until Planning Commission signs off either way. So.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we have another hand raised. I don't know if they can comment on this situation.
Yes, my name is Luis Pupo. I'm the project manager for this project with RDL. And we've been in discussions with Matt Moss as well as the planning department with regard to the usage of this existing lot at the southeast portion. We've submitted documentation to leave that parking lot as is. And we've been assured that from Mr. Moss that as long as we don't develop that lot as previously intended, meaning improving the surface lot, doing landscape or anything else that would trigger the PRO, they would be allowed to remain as is an existing parking lot. And we have, we're on the agenda for this Wednesday to get approval for that, if that helps clarify that at all.
Okay.
Okay, I was not aware of that information.
Madam Chair, this does raise a new question. Is the appellant stating that he's asking for a permit for the parking lot across the street? I don't believe that we could do that today, as that it's only under one address, and that's across the street, unless that specific street has been vacated and now it's on one parcel.
I don't think so. You just I think I had it until you just said that. Yeah, Mr. Pupo, can you clarify what you meant, what lot you were talking about?
I believe.
It's the lot to the southeast, the one, correct. That one there is currently serving as a surface parking lot. And we're proposing to leave it as such without any improvements other than just general maintenance, repair of the fence, sidewalk repair, maybe resealing the parking lot, nothing that would require a permit to execute the maintenance on it. But it's currently a surface lot. And yes, there are, these aren't contiguous lots. There will be some lot unification that's going to be required in the future.
Madam Chair, we also have Rick Riccardi with his hand raised. Might be able to shed some light on this.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Riccardi.
I don't mean to make it a more complicated than it is being presented now, but it should be understood that this permit and really what Building and Housing reviewed is for the lot of the building and the project only. The parking lots are on a separate parcel, and it's noted that the lots are on separate parcels. Those lots, if there's going to be any changes to them, or if they're not built, they will require separate permits. In a way, those lots are not even before the board today, except to be considered and perhaps as a condition that those lots, that permits for those lots will be obtained before the permit for the building can ultimately be issued. In other words, as a condition to the variance. But separate parcels will be considered for the lots. If they're existing already, they can be considered as in the parking count, and I think they have been because I think they are existing, but they're not they're not considered today for any work or construction. And a separate, and the appellant should be advised also, separate permits will be required for any work on the separate lots.
Okay, so we can only rule on the lot that is attached to the building at this point.
That is really what's before the board.
Okay.
And I
Madam
don't
Chair,
believe they will
one-
need a PRO, conditional use for that.
One more thing to confuse it further is the appellant stated he's meeting with somebody on Wednesday. That's not the full planning commission that would need to review the conditional use. So that is a different, I think that would be design review, right, Maurice?
I'm not sure what meeting he is referring to on Wednesday, unless it's Board of Building Standards. Is the only official meeting that I know of that would be on Wednesday. But I think what's key here is that we're looking at 3140 West 25th Street, and I don't believe they have any conditional use issues with the building. It's an existing building. So I think we could probably continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we just focus on 3140, what's happening there, and then what other subsequent lots they need to talk about or whatever, go through the process for that, and if, you know, if they need to come back for that, then they will, but we just need to focus on the building at 3140. I think I agree
Sorry
with
for all
that.
the confusion.
So, Madam Chair, just so I'm clear, we're only focusing on the use variance then, not the area variances?
Let me look those up. I don't have them right in front of me.
I think the area variances were for the parking and landscaping and,
Yeah, well, those can be applied to the lot in the, you know, that are in the building. But we also have a point of that they did submit a landscaping plan that we have not seen because of the write-up. So that's another catch.
right. Okay. Thanks.
Mhm. Let's see. Since this has not been officially reviewed by city planning,
Or building and housing.
or building and housing, or anyone for that matter, I think there's too many flying parts now. I think they need to go back and get everything put together that they want us to see at one time. So I'm gonna postpone this. I think, I mean, I think it's a great project. You know, it'll happen. It just needs to all be put together properly for us to see it and make an informed decision. So, Liz, how much time do you think we need for that?
Madam Chair, we could get them, yeah, I guess I'm always thinking that we give the 30 days. That puts us at November 28th, the week after Thanksgiving. If you want to try to turn it around quicker, we can squeeze them on the 14th. No, actually the 21st, I'm sorry. Just a week earlier.
Yeah, I think this will be fairly easy. So if they can get everything they need, I think we can squeeze them in on that one.
Madam
Mr.
Chair, we do have
Riccardi?
Mr. Riccardi. Yep. there
Yeah, I
you go.
just saw that. Mr. Riccardi, do you want to say something?
Well, actually, I was just trying to manipulate the machine to lower my hand. So, sorry.
Okay.
Great.
Well, it didn't work that first time, but I think it just did.
Oh, there he goes again.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we can get him in on the 21st. And so, Mr. Pupo, you understand what we're doing here? We just want to make sure that everything is in order and things are submitted so that we can give a full, comprehensive, informed decision about this project.
Yes, so what is it that you're looking, what additional submissions are you looking to have done?
Well, the landscaping is just being presented now. So that was not reviewed by Building and Housing to see whether it meets code or not, because you were cited for not having a landscaping plan, so they never had a chance to review that. City Planning didn't get a chance to review that either. Then there is the issue with all of the other lots, so it might be a good idea if all of this was done. It might be under different addresses, but to do this all holistically as one large project so we can just get one approval. I think that makes a lot of sense. Of course, as you know, City Planning has been working closely with this project. We think it's a fantastic project. I just think I agree with Madam Chair that there's just a lot of different pieces going on here.
Okay, so are we looking to have all of these lots unified under one parcel before we can come back, or?
That I can't speak to. That would be more of a Building and Housing question.
It's not necessary for the Board of Zoning Appeals for that to be in place before we review it again.
Yeah, you can just tell us that it's happening, because that tends to take a little longer. So you can just let us know that you're in process of unifying those lots, but yeah, it doesn't have to be done before you see us. Janice, I see you have your hand up. Did you want to add something?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that the meeting on Wednesday is Near West Design Review, and then we're on the agenda for the next Planning Commission for final approval. So that would happen within the timeline of being ready to come back. Obviously, we'll still have to go to Building and Housing and see what else, because I'm not sure what that stuff is. But definitely we are on the agenda for Near West Design Review, as well as Planning Commission for the next meeting. And so we should be ready for coming back to you on the 21st. So I am grateful for the discussion and the learning and the guidance.
Yeah, good. That sounds like you will have stuff together by then. So,
Madam Chair, Maurice and I can facilitate the review of the landscape plan. We could talk with Mr. Riccardi to see if a variance is still needed for the landscaping, in light of this new plan. It'll be good for you to have that approval information
yes.
or the Planning Commission review at the next hearing as well. So we'll have those two parts. It sounds like it'll be more coherent when we look at it again.
Madam Chair, do we know what dates Planning Commission you are planning on? They've been telling you? It would probably make sense to have you back on BZA right after the Planning Commission meeting, so that way you'll have everything taken care of, all the approvals from planning, and we can consult with Shannon Leonard again from our staff to see if they're, with the addition of the other parking lot, whether you'll need the PRO conditional use, which could be handled at the Planning Commission as well. So we get it all together and just get one nice, neat, clean approval.
Yep.
And we're not holding you up because you still have to go to Planning Commission anyway. Oh, sorry.
Ms. Brown, go ahead.
I'm wondering regarding the parking lot that is off of West 25th Street. When you need to get permits for that, will you have to do some landscaping? Clearly, it's not shown there, and I'm just wondering why, the West 25th Street footage isn't landscape, but that's not a zoning issue. But as you're talking about all of this, I thought I'd ask the question. Or bring up the topic. I don't need an answer, actually.
Madam Chair, to Ms.
Oh, yeah, go ahead,
Ms.
Maurice.
Brown. I think Matt Moss, the neighborhood planner for the area, has been working with the applicants on that lot specifically.
Yeah.
He had mentioned to me, I don't have the details, but I know he is working on that with them. So I have complete confidence that that will all be resolved.
Thank you for sharing.
Madam Chair, if this is already a permitted parking lot, they would not need to update the landscaping to meet today's code. It would be nice, but if it's already an existing parking lot, there wouldn't be any requirements to add landscaping or anything like that.
Another good point.
All right, well, we're done pontificating on it right now. We'll have them we'll have them go back through the process, and we'll see you guys on the 21st of November.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next case.
Next case is calendar number 22-181. This is at 4828 Lorraine Avenue. 4828 Lorraine LLC proposes to establish use as theater and bar in a C2 local retail business district and a pedestrian retail overlay district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. And with that, I'll hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, state your name. Reply, I do. State your name and then your address, please.
I do. Leon Sampat, 22082 Lorraine Road, Fairview Park, Ohio.
I do. James Asimus, 4828 Lorraine, 21380 Lorraine Road, Fairview Park, Ohio.
I do. Michael Bush, Imposters Theater. Our current address is 2406 Professor Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
I do. Nate Law, 3308 Lorraine Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey, anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2012, it was placed in the pedestrian retail overlay district and then changed to local retail as well at that time. There are no variances on file. We did find in our records administration office that in 1921, a permit was issued to erect a two-story apartment and store building. And that's all that I have that's relevant, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the parking regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Who will be the spokesperson for this case?
Leon Sampat, LS Architects.
All right, Mr. Sampat, go ahead.
Yeah, so with me also is the building owner and the tenant if needed. The building is located at 4828 Lorraine Road, just east of West 50th on the north side of the street. Next slide. The tenant, Imposters Theater, is looking to occupy the first floor storefront space, which is approximately 3,100 square feet. The tenant, Michael Bush, I'll let him give a little background on who Imposter Theater is and what they do.
Sure. Hi, my name is Michael Bush, and I run Imposters Theater. Currently, as I mentioned, we're at 2406 Professor Avenue in Tremont, and through the Tremont West Development Corporation, we have a little storefront space there. And what we do primarily is we focus on improv and sketch comedy and alternative comedy here in Cleveland, and building a creative community. We teach improv and comedy writing classes and workshops, and we also put on comedy shows here in Cleveland.
So we are seeking the two variances. One would be the use variance for the theater in the C2 district. As for the parking, if you go back to the site aerial photo, we have secured a parking agreement. Actually, go to the previous one. So across the street is the Urban Community School. They agreed to allow to use 10 parking cars, 10 spaces for our use. So we're hoping that will help, you know, the situation with the parking. And as far as the tenant, we feel that this is a good business that will fit the community and be beneficial for the community.
And do you have a written agreement yet with the urban school about that?
We're wrapping that up now. The terms have been agreed to. It's just a matter of executing the agreement.
Who's that talking?
This is James Asimus,
Okay,
building
thank you.
owner. Mhm.
Okay,
Um,
proceed.
I do want to mention too that the tenant area, if you go back to the floor plan, is additionally buffered from the, actually this slide will work, is buffered from the residence to the north by an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment at the rear. So there's no outdoor activities that would disturb the adjoining neighbors.
Another thing I wanted to add in here as well is that we've completed the renovation of the remainder of the building to this point. We have apartments upstairs and then the apartment in the back as well. And those are, the renovations have been completed and they are occupied at the moment.
Great, thank you. Mr. Bush, about the theater, do you have like normal hours of operation, or is it, how does that go exactly?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have our exact hours of operation that we'll have in the new space, but yeah, generally evenings and weekends will operate. We'll have classes and workshops weekday evenings and during the days on the weekend, and we'll have some shows on some evenings as well.
So if you like ballpark with the latest you'll be open?
I mean, I would imagine on weekends probably a little later. On weekday evenings, I don't know exactly.
I mean, you're gonna go to like 2 in the morning, or are you gonna?
Not weekdays. I mean, maybe Saturday night it might be open later, but not regularly.
All right, you need to try to nail down exactly what time, because one thing you don't want is neighbors complaining that you have things going on too late to the wee hours of the morning.
Sure, and I also want to be clear that this is, we're not like a club or anything. This is
Yeah, no, I
we're having-
realize that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, continue with the presentation.
That is all we have at this point.
Oh, okay. Mr. Lowell from Ohio City.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Just wanted to provide testimony that the tenant came to our September community meeting and presented their plan to occupy the building with a theater and bar, as well as host some educational comedy classes. And the community was receptive to the proposal. Some questions about the hours of operation was raised. And I think the tenant at the time said they would go till maybe 12 a.m. on a weekend. I also spoke with Donna Gorgonis Bailey of the neighboring Tremont West CDC, as Imposters has been a tenant at Tremont West incubator space for over a year. And she stated they had no complaints regarding noise and have been successful there. So for those reasons, we believe the variances requested today should be granted. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that perspective. Okay, city planning.
Madam Chair, we did receive one objection from a Thomas Sullivan related to the parking issue, but now that the applicants have told us that they have secured parking across the street, we have no concerns with that. We feel that this is a creative reuse for this building, and the fact that it is a very small, intimate type theater, this is not a large theater, that it is appropriate in a local retail space that we would recommend. And considering that the Ohio City CDC has had a community meeting, everybody seems to be on board, we would support these variances, which may only be the first one, I guess, if they provide an agreement.
Yeah.
Correct.
Madam Chair?
All right. Yes.
That's only correct if they own that parking lot across the street. A variance would still be needed because it would be a different ownership.
Okay. All right, board, any questions?
Madam Chair, yes, I have a question. The use is variances for both theater and bar. And my question is Imposter Theater also operating the bar? Or if there's a different operator, can we hear about that?
They
Yes,
will
we
be
are also
operating.
operating the bars.
So I think you do need to answer the questions on operation time. That was not clear.
Operation time?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are
Um,
the times you operate in Tremont now? I mean, you probably won't veer too far from what you're doing there, correct?
Yeah, I mean, generally, we'll have right now we have shows and classes that end around 9ish. We might have a later show, for example, on a Friday or Saturday nights. So I don't really imagine us going after midnight on most evenings, unless it's a special occasion. And our shows proper will end well before midnight. So if there's anything going on, it'll just be like, maybe a couple of people hanging out at the bar afterward or something like that.
All right, so we'll make it 1 a.m. to give you a little bit of time for stragglers to slide out of the whatever post show is going on there. Just so we'll have a timeline of when. So will you be open? It will be an everyday situation, or?
Yeah, we'll have classes or workshops or shows pretty much every evening and on the weekends. Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one clarifying question. Did I hear you say in your presentation earlier that there will be no outdoor activities in the back? Okay, thank you.
That area is current. Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair, as to the hours, what time are they opening at this point? And do they intend to keep that opening time? My question is to Mr. Bush.
Sorry, are you saying like time of day or when, like date are we
Right,
opening?
we really like to have a little more concrete information on the hours, so we're gonna give you until 1 a.m., but interested to know what time you open during the day. Are you open at noon or at 10 or?
Oh, well, during the week, I mean, I don't have a specific. Generally, we have classes on the weekdays, start from 7 to 9 p.m. We may have slightly earlier offerings as well. But it's like, as far as the bar goes, I mean, it's not going to be an all-day bar or anything. I think generally, I would say probably 6 p.m.
So you'll open at 6?
I mean,
Well, we'll give them 4 because
Yeah,
you might need prep time before you get.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah, I
for
don't.
for businesses, we try to nail down hours of operation here at BZA, and I get you're trying not to lock yourself into something, but it's information that we require. So we'll give you 4 p.m. and then that way, if you
Does
need
that
to
mean
get
we're
in
not
there
allowed to be
earlier.
open before that, though? I don't understand
No,
the
you can go in.
situation.
It's your business. You can go in there, but we just need to have a general timeline of
Okay, so
when you.
generally, yes, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to clarify that we're not like required to not open before 4 p.m.
You might realize you might have a workshop at 1 p.m. We just need to have, a general idea of when you'll, be open.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Particularly since you're operating and serving alcohol, sir. So, are there any other questions? Okay. I believe we're gonna want conditions on this. We wanna,
The parking is
yeah,
the condition.
right. Okay. All right, Madam Chair, on calendar number 22-181, this is at 4828 Lorraine Avenue, hearing testimony from the tenant, from the CDC, and from city planning, all of whom support the project. We're going to have the hours of operation will be 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. with the exception of any special events they might have. They're also not going to have any outdoor activities. And we will need a copy of the parking agreement before we ratify, should the variance be passed today. And with that, Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and approve the variances with the conditions.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please? Second, please.
Board Member Holzer, second.
Ms. Holzer with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
I'm abstaining.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Bate,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-181 is granted. It'll be conditionally, sorry. It'll be ratified once we receive that signed lease parking agreement for 10 spaces. And then after that, we will ratify the case and we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you.
All right, next case.
All right, our next case is calendar number 22-129. This is at 515 East 124th Street. Sharice Frazier proposes to change the use of a two-family dwelling to a three-family dwelling in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. This case was first postponed on August 8th and subsequently on September 12th to allow the appellant time to meet with their councilperson. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Sharice Frazier Melton, 1894 Sunset Drive.
Anyone else, ma'am?
Yes. Yvonne Key, 503 East 124th Street, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you.
And to the board, Jasmine Greer, on behalf of the homeowner, I am her counsel, and my address is 3030 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44115.
Thank you. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the minimum lot regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. All right, so I believe last time we were here, you needed to meet with the council person because he had reservations about approving the third floor use due to the conditions of the home itself. So where are we with that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We did meet with Councilman Polensek, and he did give support of the variance. A letter, I believe, should have been sent to the board to that effect. At the meeting, we did provide a comprehensive plan about the repairs at the property. And since that meeting, Ms. Frazier has actually already made some of those changes. Unfortunately, I did get the pictures a little late to submit them to the board, and so they're not in front of the board. But Ms. Frazier, I believe, could testify to what she has done since then to address the concerns of the councilman to gain his support for this variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Melton, if you just want to just briefly go through what you've done to the property since we last spoke.
Yes, so far we've replaced the spindles, the banisters that were missing. We just replaced them on the front and the back. Then I had them painted. I had the lot cleared and then painted as far as the fencing inside and out. I've also had the garage. It was over getting that garage scraped and painted as per the lead certifications for the city. And the driveway has been, the deposit has been paid to B&J Construction, which is Mr. Holland, a very well-known construction company within the city regarding asphalt. There will be a new crock and a whole new driveway installed with weather permitting, but the deposit has been paid. We're just waiting on the weather.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate you all going through your due diligence with this and actually that you got the council person to flip from now supporting your project. So I think that really shows that you're serious about investing in this property. Ms. Key, did you want to add anything?
Yes, I object to the variance, being
Okay.
that I am a lifelong resident since 1959 on the street. The street does not have their single family and double family homes. The request is for a 3-family home. The home does not have, and when I lived in a home and owned it in a similar situation, the home does not have a back entrance. I was also at one point when I owned homes, there has to be separate heating and water and utilities. I object because if this is allowed, there will be other double homes on the street willing to go to create and change to a 3-family home. And I am not far from this home. No offense to the person, I just don't believe that we already have issues within our neighborhood, especially this street, with people coming and going and not really, and not this home, but I'm a stable resident. I like for it to remain at least a fairly safe community. And I would like to see the dwellings all the same, which would be single and double occupants.
Hey, ma'am, do you live on this street?
I lived on that street since 1960. Yes, I own Maple. Yes, and I'm 3 houses from this home.
Okay, that's what I was trying to establish. All right, thank you.
If I may address the concerns of the other property owner, you had 2
Yes.
concerns, well, several, but I want to address 2. One was the separate entrances. We have provided the board with photographs to show that there are separate entrances for this 3rd floor.
Correct.
Secondly, the 3rd floor has all of the living amenities that one would have in a home, a kitchen, bathroom, and so it's fully equipped for it's not a full family. It'll be one person living there. It's not equipped for a full family, so you don't have to worry about kind of overcrowding there. And then also to address the issues with the utilities, there are Cleveland codified ordinances that address that with the landlord and tenants, and landlords just are not allowed to bill separately if they're not separately metered. But this property is fully equipped for utilities for all of the occupants. So I'm hopeful that addresses your concerns. Ms. Frazier, her family is also lifelong residents of this neighborhood. She actually bought this property from her uncle, and I believe her grandparents live on the street. So this is not some outsider coming trying to change things. This is someone that's also fully vested in your community. that is just trying to maintain her investment. So thank you for your concerns. I believe that they will be addressed, and I believe the neighborhood should stay the same. It will not be no problems with this house. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing it, even though my cousin used to live there. Prior to her owning that, the Mellons used to own it. So I have been in the house. I have been in the attic and I have been in the basement. I still object to having this a 3-family home.
All right, thank you, Ms. Key, and thank you, Ms. Greer, for addressing her concerns. Board, do you have any further questions for the applicant?
No question, but I do appreciate the follow-up and addressing the concerns that we have expressed and those of the councilman.
Agreed. All right,
Madam
well,
Chair? Just for the record, we
yes.
do have that letter from Councilman Polensek that he is withdrawing his objection with the understanding that Ms. Frazier is to address exterior conditions of the home as well as the 3-car garage in the rear. He states that East 124th Street is a nice street. It can be even better if property owners address the obvious code deficiency on their properties. And he expects that Ms. Frazier and her attorney will follow through on the commitments they made to improve the property.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for reading that into the record. All right, so hearing no other questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, we appreciate that the appellant has shown us via her phone on screen the pictures of the work that she has undertaken and is in the process of doing to upgrade the home. We had connected her with the CDC, Ms. Kersey from the CDC, to work on those issues and to seek her conversation with Councilman Polensek. We were very concerned about this property, and so that is why it was postponed, so that these matters could be addressed. So we appreciate the input from the neighbor with regard to the integrity of the neighborhood. So it appears that the appellant has done or is in the process of doing those things that we asked her to do. And we have in testimony the letter from Councilman Polensek. So with that, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the variance.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Madam Chair, this is Member Brown. I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar 22-129 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you all.
All right,
blessed day.
thank you.
Thank you for your
Have a
time.
blessed one.
Good luck with everything.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Was that our last case?
It was
It
our last
was.
case, unless you want to go back to the one that we skipped over.
Yeah, I was, but I wanted to make sure that was our last case.
Yeah.
Okay, that is our last case. I will officially dismiss calendar number 22-177 since we didn't hear from them. And if it is a withdrawal, I guess we'll find out later. All right, old business 1 through 3, 7 through 9, 11, 12, and 18 without objection.
Without objection.
Without objection.
No objection.
And what's going on with Miss DeGeneiro here, Liz?
She had some issues.
Needs more time.
Yeah, her architectural drawings altogether. She was granted a variance in April, and so she needs more time at this point.
I remember.
Get a permit.
Everyone needs more time for all construction work right now, so
Just send it now. So
I'm okay with that. Without objection, board.
Without objection.
Madam Chair, could we have a vote to go into executive session to talk about upcoming absences?
Yes, yes. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting, please?
Madam Chair, I motion we adjourn.
I second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Roga,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
All
Okay,
right.
1 second, and I will end the streaming.